Huge welcome to the Sovereign Free Life podcast. I'm here with Sam, who is a real world mom. She's from England from the start. She's been living in Bali. Now she's in Costa Rica with her two kids and her dog, and a fellow companion in this whole international water tribe that we're a part of. And it's so amazing to meet people like you, and we share experiences, we share, we help each other out in this whole community. And blessing to have you here. And would love for you to just share a bit about yourself, about your story, and how you came in contact with this whole community that we're a part of and the water.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Monica. It's really, really nice to be here. It's such an honor. And like Monica said, I'm originally from the UK and I've been living overseas now for near on 20 years, I don't know. And I remember as a young girl being at school, and I'll never forget one of the careers people saying to me, Hmm. So what is it? What work do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? And I said, I want to travel the world. Because that's what freedom felt like for me when I was
Mm,
young. I remember from a very, very young age sitting and looking at the ocean. We didn't live near the ocean, but we go to the ocean every holidays. And I just remember going through my school years, all I wanted to do was travel the world. And it was that made me at that time in my life feel free. Just that
mm,
freedom to go out there and explore and go to new places. And that's of course what I ended up doing in a very weavy, windy way. I went into the corporate sector, the public sector for work. I did, and then I pretty much did my own thing as an entrepreneur, all sorts of different things. Um, and I would travel, I would go overseas until one day I said, right, I'm going. I'm going overseas. And my journey, I went and lived in China. I went to live in Thailand. I went to Indonesia. I traveled all around Asia until I finally kind of found some roots a little bit in Bali. And I was based there 10 years. And when I arrived in Bali, and during this whole period of time, I'd been doing contract work, consultancy work. I worked as a sustainability consultant. I had my own business. I set my own business up in Bali, very much again in the planet friendly field. And and it was I love the flexibility of that. And then when I arrived in Bali, I met my now husband and I had two children. And so, as we know, the dynamics of life start to change a bit then, and our priorities start to change a bit. And what I realized is I'd been feeling very free and just this level of independence. I'd never really felt that I fit in the UK. I'd never really wanted to be in a system or a mainstream. It didn't feel comfortable for me. And so, what had felt like freedom for so long while I was living in Bali, I had, like I said, I had my children. I thought, but I don't feel free. And this wasn't anything to do with my children. It was actually to do with the way that I was earning and working
mm,
because I
mm,
no longer wanted to do what I've been doing for so long. I've been
yeah.
on an entrepreneurial hamster wheel, of
Mm,
kind of
mm,
just going with whatever felt good to me.
mm,
Um, but I suddenly realized that actually I was feeling a bit trapped. I wasn't feeling free. I wasn't feeling sovereign because I
mm,
was in an environment where I'd been trading my time for money. I'd been on other people's schedules. And actually, it wasn't really setting me up for life financially in any
yeah.
way. It was
Mm,
a way that I could live the lifestyle that I'd chosen of traveling
mm,
the world. And and so I started to just look. and consider other options. And obviously, much like you, Manika, I realized that the online space gives us a wealth of freedom because we
Mm.
can do it from anywhere in the world. And for someone like me, I'm like, wow, yeah, I could go anywhere now.
Mm.
But the key part of it isn't, yes, you can have a business online, but it's more about um, how we earn, how we work. And I really, really at that point wanted the flexibility to be home with my kids. I was being a
Mm.
full-time mom and earn as well. But there was
Yeah.
this deep, deep feeling of it needing to be aligned.
Mm.
I'd I come across all sorts of different ways that I could make an income online, but it didn't feel aligned for me
Mm.
because there was no depth to it. There was no consideration of how we love the planet. It just didn't feel aligned. And so I was sat here in Bali and I was, spinning all the plates, doing all the things, and still on this hamster wheel. And then we decided to relocate. And we went via Spain for 6 months and then moved to Costa Rica.
Mm.
Pretty
Wow.
much because we thought, well, if we don't live in Bali, where will we live? And my husband's, he had a resort there and he had a
Wow.
period of
Mm.
time where he didn't need to be there. He was also trading his time for money.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, and so we moved. And that was when, if I look back, I think this move, this shift in energy, just opened up my aperture and opened up my world to
Mm.
something different and something possible as well. Because when we're kind of in the same place, doing the same things, on feeling stuck on the same hamster wheel, it's very
Mm.
difficult to really take that time and space to just open up and be. And I know
Mm.
travel for me feeds my heart and soul. So when we
Mm.
moved to Costa Rica, I feel like that opened up a new portal to, okay, what is possible?
Mm.
And
Mm. Wow.
that's when I came across this community and this business and this magical water. And quite honestly, I still have no idea where it came from. um, and I just saw I saw a post online somewhere by a woman who felt like me,
Mm.
and I thought, this is curious. And this is something I've never felt before. I've never seen before. And so I
Mm.
just literally followed the breadcrumbs and started to learn. And when I learned it was water, it was something that's also nourishing, not only for people's health, but for the planet as well.
Mm.
It felt everything just started to line up because,
Mm.
especially for those of you that live overseas, water's massive for anybody. As we know, it's a big, big topic for our health. But I'd been living for many, many years in Asia drinking water out of plastic gallons,
Mm.
those big, heavy plastic gallons.
Yeah.
And
Terrible.
it's
Mm.
terrible. I knew it wasn't good for me. I couldn't stand the plastic. I worked in sustainability. I knew that. I knew all of these things, but what I never found was an alternative. I
Mm.
never found something um, that really I saw as a long-term solution, not just a quick fix or moving
Mm.
into a house or something. So I thought, right, the product's amazing too. And so that was really, I honestly, I just followed my intuition. I just had this
Mm.
deep feeling of this is different. And for me, the other part of this was that I saw a community of people that I could do this with, that I could co-create with. It wasn't something that I would be doing alone.
Mm.
Uh, because as an entrepreneur and traveling the world, so much is alone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many decisions are alone,
Mm.
and decisions in life and in business.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and so that inspired me too.
Mm.
And so I lent in, and here I am now.
Oh,
Here I am now. Like
amazing.
Manika said, I
Mm.
live in the jungle in Costa Rica, and I've actually built well, I've created a global movement of people. There's a big movement of us around the world, because they're people like me, of course, who are desiring this too. And that's one of the most magical things. I'm connecting with people everywhere, that are also just looking to have that flexibility and space and
Mm,
sovereignty, and know that we have choices. So it's really
mm.
beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful. And oh my God, I hear myself in you so, so much. And I think like like you said, like when you get children also, or if you have something that you're so passionate about, like that needs your time, like I've also had, these international engagements that I wanted to do more of, then
Mhm.
it just shifts something. You have something else to work for, like that was the main reason that I shifted as well, was my kids. Like I can't do this any longer. Like I was a teacher and like giving away my kids to someone that was seeing my kids more than I was. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't I just could not do that any longer. Like these
no,
are my children. I want to spend my time with them. Like
yeah.
kind of
It
natural
was,
to
I
want
was,
that as a mom.
yes. Yeah, and that was this, yeah, exactly. And for me, it was a non-negotiable.
Yeah,
I,
should
I,
be,
there
right?
was no
Yeah.
way I was going to leave somebody else to bring my children up.
No,
No way.
exactly.
I have to find a way. And
Mm.
I was putting it out there, call it praying, whatever you want to call it. I was like, there has to be a way.
Yeah.
Um,
And also
and
the long term, I think, for me, like to give my children the best possible future long term. Like you
yes.
said, not just to make ends meet and kind of uh, put out fires, but to actually build something sustainable financially long term for them as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really big thing for me because I don't, especially being an entrepreneur and doing consultancy and contract work, I earned well when I worked, but I was still trading my time for money.
Yeah.
Um, this is this is something that I often ask people, if you stop working today, would you still be paid? And for
Mm,
most people, they won't. The minute
mm,
you stop working, you stop getting paid. And I thought, well, that's not sustainable either. And so when I saw the part of this business model that gave us that opportunity for long-term wealth, where the work you're doing from day one just compounds and you continue to get paid for it and it grows exponentially, as long as your business keeps growing. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. So actually, not only are we financially rewarded very well, but actually this is something for the long term, because I didn't just want loose change. Loose change wasn't going to get me anywhere. And I had my second child. I was nearly 41. So I wasn't young either. I wasn't in my 20s having kids. Um, and so that was really, really inspiring for me,
mm,
this
mm,
idea that we can build our business to a level where we get paid monthly for life,
mm,
and
mm,
that can be handed down to our children. What
mm.
a beautiful financial legacy to leave them, but not just that, the actual business.
Like I
It's
haven't found
really,
that anywhere else. Like if
no,
you find anything like that, let me know. But I have
yeah,
not ever found
mm,
any kind of business that does that. Like
no,
it's
no,
so,
absolutely
so
not.
beautifully ethically made.
Mm. And yeah, absolutely. And this idea as well for me that you need a pension. Like, well,
Mm.
pensions are going to be extinct pretty soon. They are not going to continue, right? That
Mm.
concept. I had a mother, my mom she worked part-time for 30 years of her life, and they didn't even give her a pension because it was
Ah,
part-time.
mm,
And
mm.
that's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for her, and for me to see and to witness.
Yeah.
And so to have that level of integrity and to be partnering not just with a business model, but a company that have that level of integrity to give back to our families and to support families to thrive,
Mhm.
and to build wealth is really, really beautiful. And I mean, I went last year to Japan to the 50th anniversary um, of Anajit, the company that we partner with. And I will never forget Mr. Ashiro, the founder of the company, is what, 86 or something. It's incredible. Saying, his mission, his vision is to transform the health and wealth of humanity. And
Yeah.
I was covered in goosebumps. I'm like, wow. And all of his family and
Oh.
all the different layers of his family are there. And that's the type of company that you want to partner with, that you want to
Mhm.
support,
Mhm.
that you want to have relationships with,
Mhm.
for all of us. So that was a really, really important part of it. Like you say,
Mhm.
Monica, for
Mhm.
anybody that has children, particularly,
Mhm.
to know that that part is there.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel that like entrepreneur side of you, like I also been an entrepreneur for most of my life in like coaching and transport and this and that. And like you say, it is everything is on you. Like the weight is on your shoulders, like all the time. I remember being a coach and I had a whole weekend booked up, with clients, this and that, like going somewhere to another city or whatever. And I got sick, and I had at that time, I had two small little kids as well. And
Mm.
like a lot of my monthly income was just gone. Boom. Like no one
Yeah.
could jump in for me. There was no way. I just had to cancel it all.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and it's
What
like,
can you do?
yeah, exactly. And I just had a conversation with another trauma coach who's working like that. And he's also like, this is not scalable. Like you have
Mm.
to, if you're building something in the long run, you have to see how can you scale. Like you can never
Yes.
scale trading time for money. Like it's just not possible to do, for you to
No.
step out for a bit. Like I've stepped out for like 4 months there, half a year there, and it still keeps on rolling, and you don't lose anything.
No, absolutely. And
Yeah.
even just taking time with your family or going on holiday.
Hmm.
I went away for 6 weeks last summer. I went to England and nothing really changes. I didn't really work while I was with my family. And actually, I earned more in those 6 weeks than I had 6 weeks when I've been sat like maybe doing more at a computer or phone or working. And so
Mm,
it's a really unique way of working a business model. And it's kind of, I share with people, it's a new way to live, earn, and be, because
mm,
that's what we're really looking at. We're sort of stepping out of everything we've been taught for years and years of how we should work and what work means to a
mm.
whole other paradigm.
Yeah.
And that's really inspiring.
Mm,
That's where we get to really, really shift. If
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
of my father, he passed at 49 years old.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
49 at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he worked until the day he died.
Mm,
He worked until the day he died.
mm,
And yes, we took holidays and I have wonderful, wonderful, beautiful memories of him. But we actually get to choose something different. We get to
mm,
really live and earn and be and just live our lives. This
mm,
is a
mm,
business model that allows you to really live your life, choose your passions, what lights you up, what excites you, and choose to have time for them as well.
mm,
And I love that. I love that about
mm.
this space. It's a really inspiring space to be in.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I'm thinking about like you say, the ordinary path, and we're told that that is safe, like that is the safe road. But
Yes.
like you said, but what is safe if you
Mm-hmm.
just pass and you don't leave much to your kids? Or what
Mm-hmm.
is safe with if you lose your job or if you like can't do the work, trading that time? Is that really safe? Like in the long
Mm-hmm.
term, I think a lot of people don't like like you said, they don't stop and think long term because you're
Mm-hmm.
so like indoctrinated to just walk the path, like walk the narrow path. And like, what would you say to those people? What would you say to the ones that are kind of, my God, I feel stuck here, but like, what should I do?
Yeah. Well, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Mm.
And I feel, and actually I was laughing because you were asking me what would I say to them. I'd say, all right, leave it all, book yourself a ticket and go take yourself to somewhere else in the world. Get some perspective. Get some perspective. But I
Yeah.
mean, in all in all seriousness, um, the way we've been doing things, is to really look at the way you've been living and working and earning. Is it giving you and serving you? Is it giving you the life that you really want to live? Is for some people that's a 8 till 6 or a 9 to 5 lifestyle, and then you see your kids at the weekend. Is that how you really want to live? I'd ask yourself some big questions. How do I want to live? How do I want my days to be? If I look at my life, I get up in the morning, and for the first hour or two, I don't work. I just focus on either spending time with my kids or spending time with me. And yes, I have periods of time when I work in the day, but it's when I choose to, and it's where I choose to, and it's how I choose to. And if my son gets sick one day, then he just comes home. He just comes home. I don't even need to think about, can he come home? And so if you're feeling on that path and you're feeling stuck, just see if you can give yourself a bit of time and grab a piece of paper. How would I like my life to be? Because you can choose that. But it takes us having some courage to actually just step outside what we know and
Mm.
explore something different.
Mm.
Um, and that's something that traveling the world has taught me. You literally get on a plane in wherever you are, and then you arrive somewhere else that you've never been to, you don't know, you have no idea what's happening. It builds a level of resilience and
Mm.
openness. And it's kind of like that. If you could step on a plane today, it's not about where you go, but it's what you'd experience on that journey.
Mm.
And is
Mm.
that how, look at how you really desire. What do you desire? How do you desire to spend your time? If you've got children, if you've got a dog, if you enjoy sailing, if you enjoy walking, if you like painting, when was the last time you did it? I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm. Mm.
But all of these things are part of your life. We're here to, I often share, we're here to live. We're not here to just sort of get by and exist on this little, that's why I call it hamster wheel. It's like, we're actually here to live. So how can you live
Mm.
more? What can you do to live more? And for a lot of people, that means looking at the way they're working and how they're earning.
Mm.
Because as a society, we've been led to think that's how we lead our lives. Our work defines who we are.
Mm.
But actually, it
Mm.
doesn't at all. This is just something we do. And once your work becomes more about your passion and what lights you up, um, then everything starts to change.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was saying today, I have a little bit of a fever today, and I'm like, I was talking to, we have someone living with us here, and he was like, he still has he still has an ordinary work, like working with computers and stuff, and he was like, oh, I have to do some more work, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really sad that I can't work as much as I wanted to today because I feel so passionate about what I do, so.
Isn't that
And
funny?
I'm like sad that, oh my God, I really like wanted to do this work today. And of course, I can still do a lot of it, but some of it I need more of my brain, to do.
Yes, you just need that creative space, don't you? And I'm, funnily enough, I'm in the same boat today. My kids are both off school today and tomorrow because they've got a teacher training day or something. They go to this
Okay,
amazing
yeah, yeah.
Waldorf school, and it's in the jungle and the
Oh,
ocean. It's
beautiful. Oh,
amazing.
that's so
Um,
nice.
and they're off. I'm like, oh. Well, that's the creative part of my work. I'm going to park until they've gone back so I can have some space for it. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but I I can still do things. They're still here.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
still I'm
And
still here
that's the
sharing.
beauty. Like even though like my kids they go to school as well, but I pick them up as early as I can. In Sweden they have to go to school, and it's of course it's
Hmm.
good as well. But I think just the fact that you're then together, even though they might be playing, they might be doing something. I'll be sitting by my computer, they can come
Hmm.
up and just snuggle in my lap like anytime they want. Or like today, they were home as well because they had a little fever as well. And we were just playing games the whole morning, like playing Monopoly or something and discussing stuff and money and change and blah, 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 investments.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then I'm like, well,
absolutely.
now I get to like spend that time with my kids and have those important discussions with them. Like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think those are
absolutely.
the ones like to have those conversations and discussions like in real life, in real time. And like you, I know you've been traveling with your kids, being a lot with your kids. Would you like to just share a little bit about like your experience with that? Because I
Mm.
just feel it's so valuable to have your parents in that way, to
Hmm.
be able to explore the world together. And I'm not like, you should listen to me, I have all the answers. I'm more like, okay, let's explore this, this is fun.
Yeah, and it's
Mm,
I love that what I love about this is that when they get into a different environment. So, for example, when we were living in Bali, we lived between Bali and a small island next to Bali, where my husband had his resort. And so we used to go on the boat. There's 25 minutes on a speedboat. And so even that was an adventure every time we did it. And obviously we'd travel around Bali. And I love the curiosity, and I love that when we went to Spain, when we moved to Spain from Bali, we walked into the house and they came up to me and they said, "Mom, what's that?" And I'm thinking, what are they looking at? I said, What are you looking at? And they went up and there was a washing machine there, but it was a front loader washing machine. And they'd never seen one before because we lived in Bali and they're all top loaders. And I can what I love is they sat down, they put their soft toys in the washing machine to wash them, and they sat in front of that washing machine and they watched a whole cycle, a whole hour cycle. That's what I love about traveling the world, is that everywhere you go, they're open to different. They know everything's not the same. Everything's different. People are different. We, when we were here, they'd never seen anyone with black skin.
wow.
And I
Mm.
met a friend here and I could see Alba staring at my daughter. And after she said, "Mom, why is her skin so dark?" I said, "Why is it?" She said, "Why is it black?" Because of course she has, no filter on black, white, whatever. And I said, well, she's, I think she was from Africa. And she said, "Oh, okay. Will it change color?" Like, no. And so it's this. This is what I love so much. Just that all kids are curious and they all learn from nature and they all learn from different experiences. But the diversity of experiences that they have by traveling
Mm.
is amazing, and just seeing
Yeah.
different all the
Mm.
time.
Mm.
And it just provides such an openness and acceptance.
Mm.
My, you know,
Mm.
my they on this small island near Bali, their closest family was a local Balinese family. So my
Yeah.
daughter would go in the morning and she'd sit and she'd eat rice off of a plate with her hands. And she still does it now. So
Mm.
it's,
Mm.
for people often ask me this, people who've not really traveled much with kids, how do you do it? I'm like, it's amazing. It's the best gift ever. And just follow the lead, just follow the breadcrumbs and what they want to do. And
Mm,
it shows you the world through a different lens as well,
mm,
because
mm.
we have our whole life experience.
Yeah, yeah,
But when you're with the children, those things that you've seen all the time, suddenly you start to see them with a different
mm,
lens again. So
yeah.
your level of appreciation increases.
It's
Um,
almost like this, being able to shift perspective.
mhm,
And I think, my in my upbringing, I was actually very, what do you say, privileged. Like I grew up in quite a rich family, and we traveled a lot. And my father was a medical doctor, and I remember we were going to like the South Pacific. We were going to like Fiji, Samoa, and like lots of different places. And I think that actually had a huge impact on me, like seeing playing there in the villages and with the kids, and like seeing another way of life. And also like through my life I also traveled a lot. And I remember coming to India, and I was going to do, because I was like in a kind of like high school, between like university and high school that we have in Sweden. And I was going to do this work with the Indian women, because I'd heard like, oh, they have a terrible situation. They marry them off to other men, and they were like
mm,
um, beaten, and it must be really bad. So I had this perspective going in, like interviewing women, and like, yeah, standing up for women's rights is very good. Like, but then I came to them, and I got completely mind blown. They actually felt sorry for us. They were like,
interesting.
when I talked to them, they were like, but what if people don't get married? You must have so many lonely people, right? Like that are
Huge.
just lonely, spending their whole time, like their whole lives lonely. And yeah, that's true. And
Mm,
and then the other thing is like, when then you have all these divorces, like if we have problems in our marriage, it's our parents' fault. They have to fix it. They have to help us. So
isn't that amazing?
no, it was just like, of course, I can still like have my view on things, but still my mind was just kind of boggled. And then think about the kids with all these divorces. Like, what about them? Like, how are they?
Mm,
Isn't that really bad for them? Like they were feeling sorry for us, and we're
mm,
feeling sorry for them. It's completely different views, like completely
yeah,
different perspectives. And I think, like you're saying, if you're traveling, or that's what I love about kids as well, because they give these other perspectives. That's why
mm,
I'm a teacher. I love
it's
kids.
amazing.
I love being taught by the
Mm,
kids, because they're
mm.
also like, anything you're trying to hide from yourself, they're gonna poke it. Like they're gonna like know exactly what you're
But
trying to
yeah,
not.
they just say it as it is, don't they?
Yeah, yeah,
They
exactly.
just say it as it is. It's
They're such
very
teachers.
humbling. Yeah, absolutely. I love
Mm.
it. Yeah. I remember one day my daughter she came home living here in Costa Rica, and they had a group of friends from there was like a local housing development community next to us. And so they play with all the local kids. And she came home one day and she started getting things out of her room. I'm like, what's she doing? And I said, oh, who are those for? She said, I'm going to give them to my friend next door because she lives in a house without any windows. She doesn't have aircon. They only have one room and their bathroom's outside. And all her toys are broken. So I'm going to give her some of mine. Like,
Oh,
that's
that's
amazing.
so
Yeah, I do
sweet.
that. But it's things like that
Mm,
that
mm,
the gift of giving, but the real, like you said, the real innocence
mm,
of the
mm.
child. They will do and say whatever is there in front of them.
Yeah.
And it's so, so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like what I love with like also uh, having a big network internationally, because I work internationally, is also, like you say, is kind of seeing the root of humanity, like seeing this kind
Mm,
of red thread that runs through, like wherever you are in the world, wherever,
yeah.
whatever. mindset you have, a religion or whatever, there is this kind of there's so much love and compassion, and you see it in the kids, you see it like all over the world. And it's almost like if it's not been corrupted in one way or another, but
Mm.
like I really have such belief in humanity and in like the kids,
Yes.
in that there is compassion, there is like we are loving, we are curious, we are like heartfelt in our
Hmm.
nature, actually.
Yes.
Like all this like war and toxins everywhere, this and that, like it's all just corrupted. Like it's not
Mm.
who we are in our
No.
nature. Like and
Yeah. And
it's
children are a
beautiful to
really
see that.
strong filter for that, aren't they?
Definitely, they show us,
Yeah.
and they like also, of course, like tell if something's wrong, like straight away
Mm.
as well,
Mm.
like we should, right?
Yes. Yes. And we just stop doing at some level. Or maybe don't stop, but it just becomes less. But yeah, it's really,
Yeah,
really, really
yeah,
inspiring.
definitely, definitely. But Sam, so amazing to hear your story, and just would like to move on to like what has been your journey like with the water and
Mm.
with actually running this like international online business and being really successful in that. Like, can you share a bit about your like wins and the struggles and also the greater vision? Like, where do you believe that you're taking this? Like,
Mm.
where think big, like, and then
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah, right. So one of the I think for me, there's a few things that I've really loved about this community in the business. Um, it's yes, it's the global connections. I mean, even before I came here, I was really connected, much like you. I have connections all around the world and friends all around the world. But to actually then bring that into this business and have a real global movement of people coming together. I think the only continent I don't have people in my business is Africa. And Antarctica. But so we're a real global tribe. And I really, really love that and the reason I love that most is because we're actually having this sort of ripple effect on the world because we have people everywhere. And so the vibrationally, this is impacting everywhere. It's not just one country or one place. In fact, I have a few people here in my organization in Costa Rica, but actually most of them are all around the world. And that
Mhm.
inspires me, and I love that. And it brings that richness, particularly to my organization. I love the community part. And when I say community, I mean not just my organization, but the business academy that our community sits under. And the support we have here is like nothing I've ever experienced. When you start here in this business, you'll get mentorships. You get support on all levels. People who are starting where you are, people that have been here 6 years, 5 years, 1 year. You actually get access to so much wisdom, so much experience, so much skill, so much heart. It's a real heart-led organization. Um, and I love that. You're never alone. So, like Monica said, if you're struggling with something, if you're sick, if whatever happens, there's always somebody that can support, but also mentor you. The level of mentorship and the people that we get access to and their wisdom here is really exceptional. I'm in mentorship groups. I'm in one with Manica, but we're in them with people that are multimillionaires from this business. If money matters to you, that's what's possible here. Um, with people that have been here 20 years, 10 years, people that have massive thousands and thousands of people in their organizations. I'm also in groups with people that are at the same level as me, or I mentor others. So it's this, there's never a moment where you don't feel supported, where you're alone. And that's really inspiring.
Mm,
Everybody is this has their freedom hat or their sovereignty hat and their version of it. So
mm,
you get to learn from so many different people. So I
mm,
love
mm,
that. And if I'm being honest, I also really love the earning potential of this business on a day-to-day basis, but that long-term wealth we were talking about, because I didn't want small change. So I'm at a level in the business where I get bonuses monthly, I get them quarterly, and I'm not far off this legacy part where we get paid monthly for life and we can hand that down to our children. And that feels so exciting and liberating to be in a position where I don't have to even think about it daily. Think about, okay, think about money. Because when I started here, I was still in trading my time for money. I wasn't in survival mode, I'd say, but I was still there. And so I really love that part of it. I really, really
mm,
do.
mm.
And the other part of it is the commitment to growth. When you join this, there is no doubt that you will expand and grow beyond anything you could ever imagine.
Yes.
Uh, and that I had no idea I needed to really expand
Me
and grow
neither.
beyond anything I could
Like
ever
all the
imagine.
self-help courses, just, throw them
Yeah,
away. Like this is the real
yeah.
deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea. I've recently just run it's a series of workshops connecting women around the globe to support women to feel, get into their bodies, and just to really tap into your authentic, intuitive self and feel. And the reason I've done that is because when I started here, I had no idea that I wasn't really feeling properly within my body. I had 30 years of my feelings were very superficial. I probably have 4 words to explain how I felt on any occasion. And I had no spectrum of feeling at all. But the funny thing is I had no idea. I had no idea until I really started doing personal development and just really looking at myself and choosing to expand and grow. And
Mm,
so,
mm.
if some of you will be sat there thinking, well, I'm fine. Yeah, that was me too. I thought I was fine too. I thought I got it. I thought I got it all down. Um, but this is really empowering. This is how we become more free, we become more sovereign, we become more independent. And we really get to pave that path for the future generations. And this is one of the, you were talking about big vision. This is one of my big visions is to really pave that path for future
Mm,
generations, to support our younger generation to not have to accept what I did, the
mm,
judgments of, well, you need to get a job to earn money. Well, I want to travel the world. Well, you can't do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. You've got to stay on the straight line and do what everybody else does. I'm really passionate about certainly my kids, but other generations as well, growing up, knowing they get to follow their passion and their dreams. And
mm.
actually, when you do that, that's when you're really going to thrive, when you're
Exactly.
supported and how to do that.
Mm.
And so that's something that's really part of my big vision. I'm
Mm,
not sure
mm.
how that's going to come together yet, but that's out
You're
there.
already doing it, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
No,
And
but it's like, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
It's
And
like I
you,
say that when more people thrive, the whole world thrives. Like because what is the
yes.
world? It's all of us, right? If
Hmm.
the more that actually find balance, and like you said, just to have the blessing to be able to be coached by millionaires that are
Hmm.
also having good values, that are also like building something that is making a huge positive impact. Like
Hmm.
it's so valuable, and all of them like talk about exactly these things, that it is the inner work. It is to like where are you going? Who are you? What do you really want? Like, I think when I was caught up in the rat race, like just running along, I didn't even, if someone would ask me, I was like, I have no idea. Like,
No.
I'm just in survival here, please. Like, what do you mean? Should I spend 1 hour when I have so much to do to actually look at something that, you know,
Yeah,
they say
totally.
that it can change my life? Like 1 hour was just like, oh my God, where am I
Yes.
going to fit that in?
Yeah. And especially
Fortunately, I
as a
did, you
mom.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially as moms. And that was one of my limitations when I started here.
Mm,
How am I going to have time to do it?
yeah, exactly.
My my
Mine
my
too.
my day is
Where am I
full.
going to
My
fit it
day is
in?
full. Yeah. But you know what? Once you actually start looking at how you're spending your time, we have time for everything we desire, we truly desire, and that matters to us. We all have the same amount of time. So we're just choosing how we're spending that time. And yeah, I remember that. And then guess what? I did have time to do it.
Yeah.
It's funny though, I also had all these, these voices in my head about tech things. I'm like, well, I really want to make an income that's online, not where I am, which actually I love the water. I actually talk about the water offline and build my business online. I do both now, which you can do here, which is great. Um, and I just thought, I don't really understand the online space. I don't have techie skills. I don't know how to do all these things. So that was a limitation of mine as well. And we have training for everything. You can learn everything, but also no, you don't need to learn everything. You just need to follow what feels good for you and build this in the way that you want to. And that's something I really share with new people that come on and say yes to building their business, is that you get to choose how you build this business. And I can guide you, but my biggest tip is to follow your own intuition and voice. What is it about this that you're passionate about? And lead
Mm,
with that.
mm.
And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
And then you find the time, right? Like that's
yes,
what it was for
yes,
me. Like I didn't have time, like 3 kids. I was working full time. We had a business, like big house,
yeah,
everything. I could have had that excuse, but I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. Like that just I want to be with my kids. That burning desire just kept me 1, 2 hours per day for 1 year, then I could quit my job. Like if you have that burning desire to change, then you can do whatever you
mm,
have to do, like walk through the tech jungle. I've been there too, like had that story, like, no, that's not my thing. Like,
yeah.
but
And
guess
it's
what?
common with a lot of
Yeah.
women, right? It's very
hmm
common.
But
Mm,
if you, everything is simple if you just take the steps, right? And then you have the
mm,
support on the way. It's just like building a garden. It's not going to be built in a day, right? Like
no.
you do the ditches, you do the digging, you plant the seeds, like okay, and then you see it grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mm,
I think that was the other thing that I really loved, was that I could see there was a step-by-step process and learning process, and there was the support. Having those two things, so I'm like, where I can learn it myself at my own pace and choose which direction I choose to take that in. But I've also got the support and mentorship, which, like I said, just doesn't go away. I'm still being mentored now, and I'll still continue to be mentored. And actually, those multimillionaires that we get to be mentored by, they get mentored as well. So it's really, it ripples down through everywhere, and
mm,
it's
mm.
really expansive.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And then like you say, then once you learn something and you're excited about that, like you pass it on to the new people, and it's like this beautiful ripple effect that happens
yeah,
through the whole organization.
yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Oh, so blessed to get you know you more and to like get to work together with people like you, Sam. Like
Yes.
it's like this, you're feeling like you're finding the soul family all over the world. in a way.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah,
very organic way.
yeah, it's probably the biggest surprise actually. That and realizing I haven't been feeling for 30 years. But this is this ripple, this
Yeah.
sort of finding your global tribe, because it had always been offline and physical for me. And for that to actually be happening online as well
Mm,
is really yeah, it's really inspiring and empowering just to be connected with so many like-minded people, because it again it all the time you're learning new things. And like you, Manika and I haven't actually met each other face to face, but we connected online, and it's really, yeah, it's really wonderful. It feels good. It feels good,
mm.
and that's how we're supposed to feel.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But Sam, I think it's time to start to round up. But is there any
Yeah.
last kind of words you'd like to say? Anything else you'd like to share, or about your vision, or to all the people watching out there that might be like,
Mm.
oh my God, what is this? What am I doing? Like,
Yeah. I, one of the things I always share is follow follow the messages you're getting inside in your body. If you're listening to this and you've got goosebumps, or you've got those butterflies inside, or you're like, this is curious, take action on it now, and just reach out to Manika or myself, whichever one of us um, and learn a bit more, because we're always being guided and so much is possible in this world. But what happens is we get our connection from our heart to our head. We've got 3 seconds before our head kicks in. And then we find all the reasons not to do something. And then what happens is a year later, you come back round, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm still thinking about that thing. It doesn't, these are the nudges, these are the subtle
mm,
nudges. And the reason
mm,
I say this with such certainty is this is how I started traveling the world. I'd
mm,
never done it before. I just was really called. And when I was a lot younger, my intuition called me and I took action straight away. And then often what happens is we get older and we stop doing that, even though we
mm,
feel it. So if you've been listening to this and you're feeling inspired, or you're just feeling curious, or you're like, you know what? Yeah, I want that. I want to be able to be at home with my kids, or whatever it is, just reach out to us, because following that curiosity and learning more doesn't cost you anything.
mm, mm.
Like Manika said, you might think, you want me to watch something for an hour so I can learn more? You know what? I bet most people will spend an hour sitting on Netflix, driving in a car, whatever it is in a day. We all have time for the things that matter. So give yourself that time. Just give yourself that time and follow those nudges,
Mm,
because they're always there for a reason. And it's something that I always do. If I'm invited to something, if somebody comes into my field and they share an invite with me to something that I know nothing about, I think, yeah, but I'm being invited for a reason. So I'm going to go and learn a bit more and follow that, because that's what happens. So I would, that's kind of my last word. Just really and if also if you are sat there and you feel like you're stuck in the mainstream, you feel stuck, you feel in survival, there's always a way out of that, but it takes you taking that first step.
mm,
It
mm,
takes you saying yes to yourself and possibility,
mm,
because no one else can do it for you.
mm,
There's only you that can change it. And so much can change in a week, a month, a year. If I look at my life now after 5 years ago, it's amazing. I have a house in Costa Rica. I live here now.
mm,
And I didn't have
mm.
one when I came here. I have a global organization. I have a daughter, I share this with my daughter all the time. I have a daughter that now horse rides, and she horse rides because she said to me one day, I want to try horse riding. So again, our children. she followed that nudge and now she horse
Mhm.
rides. And so
Mhm.
just really listen to yourself, listen to
Mhm.
how you're feeling. And 1 hour, it could be 1 hour that changes everything for you.
Mhm.
I would recommend that you just lean in and follow the pings.
Oh, beautiful, Sam. That is so, so true. Like, oh my God, I don't know what I've done. Like, if I wouldn't have watched that hour, in the middle of
No.
all the stress, like, I was really standing there thinking, like, should I watch it? Shouldn't I? Like, what should I do? And I thought, just like you were saying, like, what have I got to lose? Like, I also felt that, like, there was something here. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I have to
Mm.
actually look at this, and I listened to it. Like, I'm so thankful I
Yeah.
did.
Well, may I
Oh,
just share before
beautiful.
we go, I
Mhm.
actually watched that hour or however long it was of masterclass that taught me more at 2 o'clock in the morning when everyone was in bed because it was the only time I got a bit of quiet. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit and watch this. And I couldn't sleep. I was lying there and I couldn't sleep. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to do it. So happy I did,
You've got
right?
time, right? Like,
I'm so happy I
make
did. We
time for
always
it.
have time for what matters.
Yeah, yeah, really. And like you said, if nothing changes, if you don't change, like if you don't make a change.
No,
And yeah, so, so thankful for this. So thankful to have you on, Sam. Amazing
pleasure.
to hear your story. And I think just that was also one thing for me, hearing lots of other people's stories and seeing, oh my God, they're just ordinary people. They have all different kinds of stories. And, if all these kind of people have been able to do this, then maybe I can too,
Yeah.
So
And here we are.
yeah, here we are. Yes. And you, of course, anything new will be new. You have
Yeah.
to kind of get into it. And everyone starts somewhere, but then like down the track, yeah, like you said, all the changes I couldn't even have imagined, everything that's
Mm.
happened during these years. It's such a blessing.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, thank you so, so much, Sam, for being on with
Pleasure.
us and looking
Thank
forward
you
to
for having
see.
me.
Thank you so, so much. Looking forward to see where we are like in 10 years' time with this.
All right.
We'll look
It's
back at
exciting.
this and we'll see how much has happened then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks,
joining.
Monica.